Some of these poems are celebratory. It's a little difficult to be fully celebratory these days, given what's happening on the planet. So I just want to kind of note that and remember it. And also this first poem, and I should warn the parents of the two children, this first poem, and it's the only poem that includes this, includes a word that could cause offense. It's the adjectival form of fornication. I tried to find an alternative word like amazing or remarkable or, but it just didn't work. So you're just gonna have to forgive me. Here we go. It's called That Fucking Spider. There, look at that fucking spider web, suspended in airy defiance and celebration, 30 feet up in blue spruce sunlight. Look at it, moving like a harp with the wind, some kind of brilliant intelligence, while I play my music and some flying insect or another will be caught or not, and the earth spins and people, busy as spiders, weave their webs, and I can hardly stand the suspense of being. And Holy Mother of Christ and every other mother, the silent screams, and that little spider poised patiently at its world's center, absolutely fucking lovely, in the warmth of this day that is not winter and is not storming and is as impossible as creation, and that spider ever so much as important as I, suspended and blown on this lovely day now, before I die, as I feel the strands vibrate and the spider listens as the wind tugs and the web like a careful sail stretches, and my heart like to breaking in the wind, but will not now, though at any moment may. So, this next one I just finished yesterday, and I was a little unsure about reading it because I'm a bit unsure about it, period. I like what it's trying to say. I'm not so sure about how it's saying it. As you will see, it sounds a little Dr. Seussy, like Dr. Seuss, but here goes. I'm curious to hear how it sounds. This one is the only long one. It's about 4.5 minutes, so you'll have to be patient, pay attention. I'll try and pay attention as I read it. Okay, here goes. Sea levels are rising, no doubt that they are. Species declining, as all are aware, in spite of denial, the signs irrefutable. Poets are rhyming, seeking to dare, those sirens inviting each not to care. Sapiens bickering while clocks are ticking, the sound of the silence surrounds all the clamoring. Meanwhile, the insects keep disappearing. Seasons are shifting and the youth are wondering whether we're lost in some kind of neverland, hoping that we forever can shift our directions, find a new kind of meaning, a new world inflection beyond the horizon. It's never been easy, this journey amongst us, from the waters of birth to the time of the monk's dust, but surely some words we can pull from the dictionary, arrange them to coalesce a harmony that will bless our time here more than just this rhyme here. A harmony so far out of reach, beyond our ability to our children to teach, that this place in the mystery is dear beyond belief. Can we not finally fend off those parts of our nature that lead us to send off our children to battle, that lead us to rattle the cages constructed of fears and division, while the doors of perception remain closed but unlocked? Can we not risk the laying down of arms, the sharing of resources beyond kith and kin, abandon our needs to control and to win, find a way to the future that's never been done, tell a tale worthy of our heart's inclinations, that can bend the arc to a destination commensurate with our deep aspirations. It's never too late, it is said, but the pressures are mounting, and the streams that are fed from our storehouse of hope may run dry like the glaciers that are tied to our hearts. The hot and the cold of existence call for our persistence in spite of mortality's insistence that all in the end will be lost. That truth need not tempt us to toss this occasion we find ourselves in to the winds of despair and defeat, sometimes so blind ourselves when we think this brief moment we can cheat. The challenge presents itself, plain and replete, whether taken or not, to deny or to meet ourselves in the other, to realize the point of this time here together is to seek and discover, to find and uncover the learning that loving is the deepest of knowing. Words will not do it. The saying and the doing are two different realms, and in either the danger of being overwhelmed. But the stories we tell can make the future existent, lay the rails for our actions, give us strength and consistence in this journey we travel alone and together. I know not how to end this patter, faced with the fear that all does not matter. My longing, I'm sure, is a match to your own, and I know that wishing don't make it so. We are left with our duty, however it's named, often abandoned and sometimes claimed, to make of each moment a fruitful transition, to make of the past a more healthy condition, to take hands with each other in spite of illusions, to relish our dying within life's profusions. It's a bit of a weird one, but okay. Many of us are of an age to know to whom this was written. She has not responded. The title is Oh, Joni. Oh, Joni, we're getting old. Following all the leaves before us, falling like love affairs, nearing some kind of far for long. And I love the whispering losses, my whole life tracking the losing moon that travels every night sky. And your voice finding joy in the deepening evening, no thought beyond the brushstroke of our days. Sing out. There is nothing more, only the freedom of losing in a special kind of inebriation. Oh, Joni, we sleep on the strange pillows of our dreams while the clouds shift and the clock on my piano moves along with the galaxies in my mind. Strings vibrate with the drumbeat, hands touch skin, tears fall, caught by the smile of your lips. We will sleep, oh Joni. We soon will sleep, and the canvases will be where they will be when the guitar is set down. Oh, Joni. Okay. No introduction. This one, it's just called Every Moment's Choice. Oh, humans, with our stone walls lining ancient roads through graceful countryside, and our cities huddled against the seasons, and our strolls along rocky coasts, marveling at the waves crashing to time's meter. Oh, humans, with our longing and the specter always, even in bright sunshine, and in the midst of joy. When we're alive forever, or so it seems to our innocent hearts. And when we're dead forever, or so I would wager my aging heart. Sunshine seems our birthright, and so it is for all to see, until nightfall quiets the day's delights, and the deepest slumber silences the quiet whispers of bats' wings and the belfry's ringing metronome. Words cannot, and then words no more. But besides this, our actions, statements to the heavens, laid out as paving stones of purpose, however fleeting, meaning matters. Its filigree, a delicate but durable tracery on time's tapestry stitched across our days. Those sandcastles, castles nonetheless, and we responsible, while gods and goddesses play their parts, and we stand at the door of every moment's choice. Water, please. Thank you. So this next one, I admit that I'm a bit preoccupied with passing, as we call it, with death. And for me, it's a bit like being on a train and not being able to resist looking at what's happening out the window, right? It's right there all the time. And so this one is another one about that. Savor, it's called Savor the Emptying. Savor these last few raisins and almonds in the bowl. Let the emptiness arrive as it will in the eating. When it was full, we took as if there were no tomorrow. But now, more bowl bottom than contents remains. The bowl holds a silence that will be complete when the final 3 fat, sweet, dark raisins and the last brown almond we lift to our mouth. We will have come to the end of provisions. There will come a time when we can replenish no more. This is practice. Okay, next one. Anybody who writes poetry has to write a love poem. This is my love poem. Love poem. Let me have just one more day. Let me have this day, and let it not be my last. Let me have just one more day to feel the sap in the stems, to hear the language of birds and the wind. One more day of light, one more day of turning, one more day balanced on the precipice, one more day to bask and revel, one more day of the exquisite pain, one more day to risk a bit more, just one more day to feel the tides pull, to be swept and tossed, to fear the loss, one more day to empty and be bereft. Let me have one more day that I might find you and find myself in you, to allow the wonder of the dance, one more day to reveal and conceal, one more day without words to say what I cannot tell you, one more day to be willing, to allow time's victory and defeat, one more day carried on the upwelling, my body salt in the tears, some kind of habitation, some kind of crystallization, some kind of membrane between. I don't mean to be trite, but I love you like water loves gravity, like lungs love oxygen, like the grasses with the breeze, like the torrents over the rocks. I'm serious here. My gaze wants to linger longer on you. I have not had enough of your demands. I have more laughter to learn. Nothing have I to offer, but failing as best I can. I rely on what I cannot know. This being should not be, for how can it be? But given its apparentness, let it continue with me just one more day. Yeah, this next one I sent out in my announcement to my list. I sent out 3 poems just to try and pull people in if they were appealing. And this one, of the 3, I'll just read this one. So some of you may have read this, some of you may not have. And it's called In the Event of Another Morning. And I think, again, it's kind of timely given what's happening on the planet right now. In the event of another morning, I ask all those inclined to a violent act, of whatever sort, physical, psychological, economic, to remember your mother's breast and the soft sound of her breath in your ear. If you lost your mother, remember your longing and your pain. Remember your beating heart and your dying day. In the event of another morning, I ask all those inclined to a violent act to remember the pinprick of recognition in the perception of their hallowed face. Remember that time dismisses all beings equally, and honor is the coin of the realm. In the event of another morning, consider allowing yourself to be held by those whom you would harm, feeling the gentle warmth of their arms and the yearning of your heart. In the event of another morning, let not the hardship of the sowing rob you of the richness of the harvest that will come with your patience. In the event of another morning, might we know together the fresco of our passions and study the patterns of our birthright? In the event of another morning, there will be lessons, and we would be wise to listen. In the event of another morning, may the sun rise on your forgiving face. This one is written for the children who are faced with the climate catastrophe that I think many people are ignoring. And you will hear some of their words in the poem. It's called "O Wood Words." O wood words, wavering as they are beneath humanity's heavy hand on our wise world, find ways to alleviate nature's suffering and ours also in the midst. Would that words could find ways through the narrow archway of our hearts and into the intricacies of our mortifications for only the purpose of seeking the salvation of ourselves and souls, whatever of which those words portray. There is beauty everywhere scattered, fairy dust upon the carriage of matter, and yet and still we struggle to cherish the treasure, yet to live up to our full measure at this time of reckoning. What was teeming is subdued, and the silent cry is terrifying to seasons as flocks of voices lift in exclamations and proclamations that remain a babble. Now, they cry. Now, cry the children, awoken by the cacophony all about, seeking some semblance of a unison to calm troubled waters and soften storms. Let not our moments of time found disappear down the passageways of memory without some sign of reclamation and redemption. So they plead with eloquent simplicity. Let not our heritage be humbled of hope. Let not our spirits be hobbled by a prospect of ignominy. Let not bankruptcy be our choice. We would words work their magic, but they alone will not lift themselves the load. Intention awaits commitment, and commitment itself hesitates for intention's kindling. Meanwhile, birds and trees and all compatriots await in respectful silence as we busy ourselves with our daily storytelling. This one is for the spring season. The heavens blush. The heavens blush when I cry out with mortality sitting frank in the morning and ask, how shall I not rejoice, though suffering exists in the midst of all this rising splendor? We are gifted by the cycling seasons even as we drift downhill. Rejuvenation continues and the sunshine dances like children, colors sing like angels, and the flush of daffodil sap calls to my heart in this new season's run, encouraging the blood in my veins to yet another round before the end. I hear the babble of voices dancing like fireflies all about the planet, each heart wailing and wondering as we ride the clamorous rapids of time, laughter and fear in a blend richer than words. We grasp for metaphors as handholds on our climb, the mix a measure of the magnitude. Reality, when befriended, reduces arrogance, leaving us to contend with relations and the question of how to do each moment as delusions stalk and negotiating persists. But springtime banishes philosophers' questions. Time enough for that in the darkening, for now warmth of fresh sun on skin, we can excel at joy if we allow ourselves, shedding winter's woes as we shed cold's clothes. This next one is a little bit mysterious. Am I okay on time?
We're running close.
Okay. How close?
Why don't you read this one more?
One more? Oh gosh.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Everyone else has to read.
Could I read it? Okay. Okay, one more. Let me find. I think I should read. Always read slower when you're reading it. Actually, longer than I practice it at home, for instance. I think I'll just read this one, even though I'd love to read you the other ones. I guess it's kind of suitable. Here we are. The poetry reading, it's called. I was at a poetry reading last night and found my mind working hard to stay with the words, spoken with such serious and solemn intent as they tumbled forth potent as whispers, calling to be heard deeply like vespers, a canticle of the self, an offering, and more, a calling to be heard deeply. Please be heard. But to no avail, as I, drifted up to the rafters above and the sky beyond and looked down at our spectacle, each one of us ever so important to ourselves, as the autumn leaves hung from the darkening trees and the wind blew from some distant place to an unknown land. The words fell in austere cadence, a necklace of sound, one by one, building some kind of castle of regard, some kind of message, some kind of meaning of despair and resurrection, some kind of tribute to the tides. And I, again, doing my best to follow and to hear, when all at once I realized the poem was us. The words only part of the speaking, that was the room and the people and the building traveling with the moving earth, and all about the poem was singing us with our words cantilevered out beyond ourselves, and the whole damn thing a recitation of remorse and reclamation, a revelation and exaltation beyond words, miraculous and absent any meaning decipherable, yet potent and provoking, while in the room the warmth of bodies preserved the moment sufficient to our needs.